Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. So my name is Tanya and this is my first video on this channel, and this is the mid-year freakout tag. So I recently started getting back into reading, and when I say recently I mean this year. I started getting back into reading and it's really taken over. So I just kind of wanted to join that kind of community where I can talk to people about the books I'm reading and just bounce off each other. So yeah, I'm going to jump straight into the questions because there is a few and I have them written down on my phone. Okay, so I'm hoping actually the sun won't come back out, and if it does, I apologise because I'm using natural light at the moment, but there's the sun. Why? Okay, so the first question is, what is the best book that you've read so far in 2022? So my top read this year was House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. Now, funny enough, I have never actually really read fantasy before, and to be honest, I never thought I'd have any interest in reading fantasy. But this was just being hyped up so much on YouTube. I was hearing about it everywhere, and it just sounded like it was actually going to be good. So I picked it up and I was terrified because I have never read a book this thick in my life. So I was kind of scared going into it, but I honestly could not put it down. It was definitely one of my favourite books, and I was so excited because when I actually read this book, the second one was just around the corner of being released. So I was like, I wanted to get this done so that I could be a part of the excitement of getting the second book. So yeah, this is definitely my top read this year so far. Then the second one that was my top read was actually one I just read recently, and that's The Guest List by Lucy Foley. So I know this is kind of like an older read, but again, I was hearing a lot about Lucy Foley when I started watching YouTube videos, and I was like, I love a good mystery. So I said I'd pick up a few of her books, and I found a few in charity shops as well. So this one was definitely a 5-star. So I think what I loved about it was the fact that it was like set at a wedding, and it was supposed to be on like an island just off Ireland, which is where I'm from. And I actually listened to the audiobook while I was reading it, and I really enjoyed the audiobook. The fact that it was like multiple characters. So I loved that, you know, each character, you kind of learned their voice, so it was quite easy to follow, because sometimes I find when I read books that have loads of characters, I can get lost very easily. But yeah, definitely 5 stars for this year. So question number 2 is the best sequel that you've read in 2022 so far. So the only one that I've read so far this year is The House of Sky and Breath, and this is obviously the second one in the Crescent City series. And I have to say, in the beginning, I found it very hard to get into. I felt it was kind of slightly different kind of feel going into this one than there was the first one. But as I got into it, it did get better, but I did not enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the first one. And I'm hoping, like, I can't wait now for the third one. Like, I will continue to read the series. I still love the series. I'm not much into the romance part of it, weirdly enough, because I do love romance books. But I think it was just more the story and the adventure, and the world building, the whole lot, I absolutely loved. But yeah, I was a little bit disappointed with this one. Okay, so the next question is a new release that you haven't read yet but you want to. So the one that I'm really looking forward to is Lore Olympus, and it's the second in the series by, I think it's Rachel Smith. And I have to say, I really enjoyed the first one, and funny enough, it's like this year has just been like Tanya tries something new, because I usually don't like fantasy. I usually don't like comics or anything like graphic novels, but I was kind of fell into that rabbit hole of Greek retellings. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna read that one, see what I think. And I actually really enjoyed it. Like, I finished it in one day, which is quite easily to do. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I have ordered it and it's on its way, and I'd say that'll be one of my next reads. Okay, so the next question is in the most anticipated release for the second half of the year. So I have 2 for this one. The first one is The Retreat by Sarah Pierce. I actually read one of her books. I don't know whether it was before or after Christmas, but it was The Sanatorium. And it was fantastic. It had like the real kind of like The Shining atmosphere. They were in, again, a secluded hotel. There was a murder. There's like whodunit, and it's just packed full of adventure, and I loved it. And then like right at the end, they snuck in a little bit of a like, wait, what? And then that was it. So I've been waiting so patiently for this one to come out, so I'm really looking forward to it. And I think that's out the end of this month, the end of July. Then another one that I am waiting for is called Stone Blind, and I can't remember the name of the author, but I'm very excited about it. It is a Greek retelling, I know, and this one is actually Medusa's story, or a retelling of Medusa's story. And I'm really excited about it because I always loved Medusa. I always loved her as the villain. And even though really she's not a villain, but we'll get into that another time. I don't know, I'm looking forward to seeing what her story is going to be. So that is definitely on my most anticipated read of the year. And I think that's out on the 15th of September, which is my birthday. So if I can get my hands on it that day, that will be exactly what I'm doing on the day of my birthday, is reading that book. Okay, so number 5 is The Biggest Disappointment. And this might be a little bit controversial, but sure, hey ho. It is The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. Now, hear me out. I read this book while I was sick in bed with COVID, and I had never read any of her books prior to this one. So this was the first book that I had read by her, and it was so hyped up everywhere that I had ordered it, like pre-ordered it before it came out. And when it arrived, I jumped straight into it. Now, don't get me wrong, it was a decent enough book. I got through it quite fast, which you'd expect from her books. But I just kind of felt like it was a bit boring, to be honest with you, especially in comparison to, my God, my brain's not working, I need coffee. In comparison to The Guest List, this was very boring. And yeah, I was quite disappointed with it, but I'm going to give it a second chance, and I'm going to reread it at some point to see if maybe the fact that I was ill caused an issue in my brain. So yeah, I will reread it and see what I think. But yeah, I was disappointed. So the next question is the biggest surprise. So the biggest surprise has to be The Last House on Needless Street. So I got this book because it was part of, I think it was Jade the Libra's book club on YouTube. So I ordered the book as I really enjoy taking part in the spooky book club. But yeah, this one I got, wasn't expecting any of it. The first half of the book, I was like totally confused. I was like, what the hell am I reading? Like, I don't know, like it was very confusing at the beginning. But as you got on in the book, I kind of started putting things together. And by the end of it, I thought I was thinking one thing, and then it was like something completely different. And it was fantastic. Like, it was such a good book. Definitely got 5 stars from me this year. I'll just read the back of it because I highly, highly recommend that people read this book. But basically, it is the story of a murderer, a stolen child, revenge. This is the story of Ted, who lives with his young daughter Lauren and his cat Olivia in an ordinary house at the end of an ordinary street. So all these things are true, and yet some of them are lies. An unspeakable secret binds the family together, and when a new neighbour moves in next door, the truth may destroy them all, because there's something buried in the dark forest at the end of Needless Street. But it's not what you think. And it is not what you think. Very, very good book. Highly recommend, and it's definitely one that I want to reread again, probably around Halloween time. But yeah, really loved that book. The next question is favourite new author, debut or new to you? I haven't read, like, I don't want to, jump the gun and be like, oh yeah, this is my new favourite author and I've only read one of their books. But I have to say Sarah J. Maas is definitely right up there, because I've actually read A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I really enjoyed that one as well. So I'm kind of seeing like similarities in our stories, and I'm quite enjoying them. So I'm assuming that she would probably be one of my new favourite authors. So we'll have to wait and see. The next question is the newest fictional crush. To be honest, I couldn't really actually think of anyone when I was looking at this question. I don't really have any. Like, I haven't come across one that I was just like, yes. But if I was to pick someone, it would probably have to be like Hades or something from Neon Gods. I do love a good bad boy that has like a sweet side. But honestly, no one in any of the books I've read so far have like, tickled my fancy. So I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see on that one. Okay, so the next question is your newest favourite character. So I thought about this one for a while, and I have to say, I think my favourite character was probably Lahaba, the fire sprite from House of Earth and Blood. I really loved how sassy she was, and like every time she came into the book, I was like really excited to see what else she was going to come up with. Yeah, I don't want to say any more about her in case anyone like watching this hasn't read the book, but I'm sure everyone has at this point. But yeah, she was definitely my favourite character, and as well as Bryce Quinlan, I quite liked Bryce's character as well. So the next question is a book that made you cry. To be honest, I don't think I've actually cried at any book this year. I know I came close to one book, and I'm trying to remember which one it is, but to be honest, I can't because I never wrote it down. But I know I was particularly upset at a part in House of Earth and Blood, and if you've read the books, you will know what I'm talking about. It wasn't in the beginning; it was more so the end, and I was not happy about that in the slightest. And as much as like I loved the reasoning behind it, and I just honestly I thought it was a loss of a character, to be honest. Like, she needs to be there. But yeah, I have small little hope that character might pop back in at some point. Fingers crossed. Okay, so the next question is a book that made you happy, and this was an audiobook that I listened to, and it was The Midnight Library. Oh my God, it was such a good book, and to be honest, it came to me at a perfect time. So this is about a woman who wants to unalive herself, and she ends up in this kind of like a limbo, which is a library, and in the library she gets to visit, like, it's kind of like that what if story. So it's like she gets to visit, like, what if I had done this, what if I had married him, or what if I had done like X, Y, and Z. And it's her getting to have a glimpse into her life if she had done different things. And I just really enjoyed the whole story. The concept of it was brilliant. And just at the end of it, I felt so wholesome and kind of like hopeful at the same time. And I just really, really enjoyed it. So I actually want to get it in physical copy and read it again, and maybe annotate it, which is something I've never done before. But yeah, that one I really, really enjoyed. So that was definitely one that put a smile on my face by the end of it. The next question is the most beautiful book you've bought this year. I'm a sucker for buying a book because of its cover. Never judge a book by its cover, as they say. But this one I had to get because of its cover. And again, it was another fantasy book, which I had only dipped my toe in that fantasy genre, but this is completely different to anything I've ever read, and that is The Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. Oh my God, I loved this book. This book was so good. I listened to the audiobook while I was reading this as well, right, while I was reading the physical copy, and I absolutely loved it. It was fantastic. I don't even know where to begin. Like, I loved the kind of world building. Like, I do have a great creative imagination, so building that kind of world in my head was so fun. To be honest, I wish I had wrote like notes about this book, because it's been a while since I read it, so I'm trying to like remember. But her mother has basically been exiled to the moon, and her mother can't leave, and she's starting to feel bad for her mum. So she decides to go to the Celestial Kingdom, and She basically becomes like a training partner with the prince, and nobody knows who she is. So to be honest, it kind of gave me a bit of like Mulan vibes, but I thought it was fantastic. It was kind of the book where you had to get halfway, and then it was like getting up this hill, but as soon as you got to the top, you just came down in this like fecking ride of excitement. It was very, very good, and I'm definitely going to pre-order the second in the series. The second one is called Heart of the Sun Warrior, and that is out in November. So I'm really looking forward to reading that one. So that is definitely on my to read by the end of the year. I just brought you in a bit there because that sun is really getting on my nerves. So the next question and the last question is books that you want to read by the end of the year. So the first one I want to read is Electric Idol by Katie Robert. So I have read Neon Gods, really enjoyed it, loved the whole, you know, Hades and Persephone retelling, and it has like a kind of like a modern twist. They're not the spiciest books that I've read, but I'm interested to see what she does with this one. So I think this one is following Psyche and, is it Eros? Yeah, it is. A modern retelling of Psyche and Eros that's as sinful as it is sweet. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading that one. Then the next one is Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. So I bought this one before I heard all the mixed reviews about it. When I heard that it was like Ghost Ship meets Titanic, I was like, yes, I will read that. So I did order it. Still looking forward to reading it. I'm holding out hope that it will be a good book, but we'll have to wait and see. Then the last one is oh my God, that sun. Go away. I'm going to have to get blinds put in here because like we literally get sun on the back of our house for the whole day. And of course today when I decide to film for the first time, decide it's going to come out. Anyway, let's be quick. So A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. So I have read this one on my Kindle because I wasn't sure that I was going to enjoy them and I wanted to buy them all in hardback. So I did enjoy it. So I ordered the full collection of the, is it ACOTAR series? So yeah, I plan on I want to kind of read them all in like, you know, one after another. So there is a few of them. So I'm kind of waiting for maybe the end of the summer. I might try and start reading them because I have a few summer books I want to read beforehand. But yeah, these are ones I definitely want to read by the end of the year. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this video. So yeah, if you've gotten this far, thanks for watching my first video on this channel. I apologize for maybe the change in audio, the change in lighting. Eventually I will have it, you know, all balanced out, hopefully. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more videos from myself. I'm hoping to kind of be a regular uploader, or at least upload when I actually have something to talk about. So yeah, if you want to see more videos by myself, then hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you're notified every time I upload. So yeah, thank you so much for watching and I will see you all in my next video, hopefully. Bye!